Hey guys, so wanted to talk to you about the etudes, but first let's talk about scales. One, you're gonna play two scales. They're probably going to be one of the 12, okay? But within that, don't forget if it's a 2-octave scale, they're probably more likely to want to pick that than a 1-octave scale. But you gotta know all your scales. But no matter what, they will pick 2 of those 12, but you're going to play a chromatic scale, no matter what. So, like the video I did last time and the time before, let's talk about a good chromatic scale. You've got 2 options. One, you're going to go slow enough that you can breathe in between notes, or you're going to play it fast enough so you can do it in one breath. So for example, if you're going to breathe after a note, you might be limited to something like that, where you're able to get a quick little breath in between. And honestly, you are going to have to play much slower because you have to make space and not completely get rid of a note, right? But go faster and you can do a one breath. Okay, now if you can't do it that fast and do it in one breath and you can't do consistently, do it slower. Okay, it's still a chromatic scale. You're not getting more points for playing it really fast, and you're not getting less points for playing a decent tempo but having to breathe after the notes. Okay, so let's get into etude number 1. First of all, Mr. Akey, who writes all these etudes, he likes to go into the Italian to English translation type thing, start picking out some words that you may not necessarily see, so you'll have to look them up. First one here is rustico. So if it's rustico, you're thinking rustic. Yes. Okay, but what part of rustic? Is it country, rural, rustic? Okay, no. Okay, I think for me, it's rough, it's gruff, it's unfriendly. Okay, that's the emotion you're starting to play with at the beginning. Okay, which to me, it gets a little bit more towards like the swashbuckling type thing. You can send 6/8, you're going to bounce the notes a little bit more. A little more emphasis on one. Watch your dynamics. You have an SP, which means subito piano, on the second line. Just watch your grace notes. They come before the beat. They got just what it is, okay? Let's go on to etude number 2. 2 things, 2 different dynamics. So, or not 2 different dynamics, 2 different tempos. So the beginning, half note equals 76. It's a pickup. Ba-dee-da-dee. And then when you take the other pick to the metamoso, a little less motion into 60. That's an awkward one. So, okay, it's going to be much more what it's like. Just be careful there that you're not rushing that. And you can pull on those 16th notes if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Etude number 3. Leggero, lightly. Okay, I will tell you in practicing this, don't start too loud, don't start too loud. You're gonna want to start at that mezzo piano dynamic and catch your breaths when you can, so that you can get up to that forte and make the entire thing in that second line all the way up to that E flat, and then come down to that sostenuto. Okay, so breathe after the half note, but in order to get to the end of that forte and play all the way through as a nice, good dynamic, make sure you're starting at a mezzo piano. That's a good trick right there, okay? Slowing down at the end, you don't have to slow down too much, just a little bit, and then you'll be fine. All right, let's take a look. Let's stay in etude number 3. Don't forget, sostenuto means more sustained. So you're going from this lightly articulated thing to the second half of it. You're being much more sustained, all right? So we're going on to, you just made regionals. You're auditioning for All-State. Congratulations. Con Lancio, okay? Well, this is with launching, with spring in your step, okay? With motion, okay? Which would be molto, but it's Lancio. So launch, go for it. Triplets, I put it at dotted quarter equals 69, and then I put the triplets on there. It's a lot easier than just putting it as dotted quarter note. That'll help you get through this. And this is a tricky little bugger, okay? You're going to have to watch out for the dynamics, where you're going to take a breath, okay? I will tell you, there's a couple of options here. If you can make it, then you won't have to breathe on the third line after the forte piano. I feel like I have to. It works better for me. So I'm going to break up that low A flat. I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to come back in there. The trick, though, is sometimes you can come in a little bit slow there. So the options are getting a bunch of breaths, sipping, trying to fill yourself up, be as full as you can. Forte piano, if you can make it, it's going to be a long time before you're going to be able to take a breath again. Okay, so you probably want to take a breath at that dotted quarter note. Okay, and we're talking about that area there. So that's the option one, okay, would be not taking a breath, and you're just going to find other breaths and make up for it. Or that's fine. That's fine. There's nobody who's going to fault you for that. Okay, they're not going to go, you can't take a breath there. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, number 5, I would say that I think it's a little bit too fast at eighth note equals 80. That's fine. You can play it at that tempo. Okay, if you pull just a shade back, I think it's okay, but you can't play enough to feel like you're intentionally playing it slow. Okay, but if you want to pull back so you can be a little bit more expressive on it, that's fine. This one's a little tricky with that second line starting to come up louder and pulling back, and then louder and pulling back, and then having enough air to crescendo up to the forte. So in the end here, guys, the answer really is make sure when you're practicing, take a pencil right where you're breathing. Okay, live with it for a little bit. Then, since it's in pencil, if you need to move it, if you're getting faster, if you're getting stronger, erase them and move it around and figure out where else you can breathe. You can interrupt things every so often, as far as like I talked about in etude number 4. But leaving out a note is not as preferred as trying to figure out where you can get a sip or a breath, okay? Hey, when you go in there, just do your best. Sight reading, it's going to be what it is. Practice sight reading. It's a skill to have. But other than that, good luck, guys. Take care.